Okay, so in this video we'll be creating the move monster function, which will make it so that if the monster is awake, then it can chase you. So we're just going to create a function, and that's going to be called move monster. And we don't pass anything into it. And what we are going to do though is, if you remember earlier, we created a variable called monster move per turn. Now we're going to have that stored as a variable called moves left, which is how many times the monster can move again. And then we're going to have a while loop, which is moves left is greater while it moves left is greater than 0, then the monster can move, and that way the user can type in, if they create their own custom setup, they can type in whatever number of moves the monster can have, and it will move that many moves each turn that the user or the character moves. So here we're going to do monster position, and that's going to be 0 for the x, and we're going to do monster y is equal to self.monster position for the y coordinate as well. And then we'll also do the same for the player. And then what we need to do now is we need to check whether or not the player x value minus the monster x value is to check that it is not equal to 0. If it's equal to 0, that means that the monster and the player are in the same y column. The same column, which basically means that it doesn't have to move left and right. He's in the right column. He needs to move up and down, and that is how we're going to work out this. The way that the monster should move is going to be quite simple. It's going to be, if he has to move horizontally, then he'll move horizontally until he's in the right column, and then he'll move vertically. So it should be quite simple to code this. Within this if statement, we're going to do if, and then it's going to be player x minus monster x is less than 0. And bearing in mind that, say if the player was in coordinate 3, 2, and the monster is in coordinate 1, 1, then it will be 3 minus 1 is 2, and that means that the user is to the right hand side because it's a positive value of the monster, and so we know to move the monster right instead of left. That is the basic idea of how we're going to be doing this movement. And so here, if it's less than 0, then that means to the left. So we're going to do self monster minus position underscore position is equal to, and it's going to be monster x minus 1 monster y. And that is all there is to it. And then we just do the same in the else. But this is going to be plus 1, and then it's going to be mon y. And then down here we're going to do else. So if it's not equal to 0, then that means that we are moving in the y. If it is equal to 0, then we're moving in the y axis instead to make it on the same square. And so here we need to do if player y minus mon y is less than 0. Then we want to do self monster position is equal to, and it's going to be mon x, mon y minus 1, else self.monster position is equal to, and it's going to be monster x, and it's going to be monster y plus 1. And now the only thing we have to do is make sure that each time there is a move made, which is to say that this is completed, then we decrease moves left by 1, and that will simply make it so that, say if there were 2 moves, then it will run this twice, and then the while loop will finish, and so that's that bit done. And so now if we refresh and do 1, I need to activate the trap, which is right next to the monster, so I'm not going to survive for very long in this game. There you can see I have awoken the monster, so now any movement I make will mean that I die. There we go, I've been eaten by the monster. I'm going to refresh until I get a decent setup. No. There we go, this one will do. So if I move south... Oh, that was a mistake, I went straight into the flask. Sorry, right, we'll try this again. Here we go, this one's a good setup. Okay, so if I move it across and activate the monster... Now with my next movement, you'll see that the monster moves twice. And that moved twice horizontally, like I said it will do. Now if I move again back to where I was, then it moves horizontally one and then up one. If I move across again, then it moves horizontally one and then up one again. And say if I was to move across one again, it'll do the same until it catches and eats me. So that is how the monster can now chase and eat me. So that is the basics of the game completed. The only thing left to do now is complete the rest of what the menu choices were. And the menu choices were 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 1 and 5 have been done. 3 and 4 are going to be left for you to do if you wish. Number 2, which is going to be where the user can set their own settings, such as the width and how many moves the monster can make each turn, is all going to be what can all be set by the user. And so that is all there is left to this, and that will be the final video in the next video.